That's a stretch here.
I'm the least interesting person you'll have all
Oh,
day.
we know.
No,
The moment
not
they
at
tell you
all.
that, we find out you're probably the most interesting.
Oh, I doubt it. I doubt it. I wonder when we're going to stop getting the questions of, like, what superhero should run for president. And I was just saying, I think that's such a bad idea to ask that, because then we put that into the world, and then we get even more characters running.
Yeah, already you're interesting with a comment like that. We should have you do the interview right yourself. Just interview yourself.
Oh, me interview all of you.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, guys.
So what did you do to... What did you think when they said that you were going to be Betsy Ross?
I thought you just said, what did you do to Betsy?
No. I started...
That's a great question.
And what did you do to Betsy?
When I get to that.
Yeah, and what did you do?
No.
What did I think?
Yeah.
And do this.
Well, you know, this show, I think, well, everybody talks about their show and how much they love their show, but I do feel like this show has something special because it's not just mindless entertainment, you know, and we spend so much of our time right now just pushing, you know, meaningless stuff onto, well, the next generation of kids that are hopefully going to take over the world. And what I love about the show is that there are, you know, actual, you know, real elements of history, and you do learn from this. And so that was, I think, first and foremost, the most appealing thing. It doesn't target one specific demographic, so I did love that, you know. You know, the interesting thing about being on TV is that you don't really know where anything is going. So I'm sort of finding out, as everybody else does, who Betsy is going to be and who she is to Ichabod and what that relationship is. And clearly there's something between them. I mean, that's obviously some sort of spark of some kind. But I'm sure there's gonna be some twist or turn, and I'll find out about it like only a week before you guys do. And maybe I'll be devastated, or maybe I won't be. But I love playing characters that I feel I not only contribute something to, but I also take away from. You know, and I love playing really confident women because I think you walk away with a little bit of that at the end of the day. And there's something cool about that, you know? I mean, Betsy is, first of all, she's afraid of nothing. Awesome. And she's, in her own right, she was sort of like, I mean, she was a part of a time when women didn't behave that way, and so she's sort of that, like, rogue, I don't know, I like her a lot. I like her. I think she's giving me something.
I was just saying, it's interesting because, you know, after 3 seasons, you know, I was going to ask you, why have you kept this character? I mean, so many people, so many actresses and actors kind of leave their roles kind of
I love that you asked that, but you know, I'm brand new, so I...
Yeah, no, I'm aware. I'm saying, but like... sorry. With, you have, like you said, you have a history of taking very complicated characters. I've been following your career for about over a decade.
You just aged me! I'm kidding.
You're only 2!
I know.
Just 2!
I was out of the womb.
That's right.
I'm kidding.
But like, you take these very complicated, very breathtaking characters and you kind of push them to the forefront and you create something new. I wanted to know what has, so I wanted to know, like, what kind of like inspired you to play the character, and what has kind of helped you film it? Because it is television. It's not a movie where, okay, a couple of shots or whatever, you're done, 2 hours, you're done.
Well, it's a totally different process. You know, you enter into a film and you know immediately the beginning, middle, and end of this character's story. Whatever part of their life you're telling, whatever chunk of their journey, you know where you're going. And so it's actually, especially for somebody like me, who I'm quite a perfectionist, and like strangely, I work with 3 different acting coaches at the same time sometimes.
Wow.
For different, it's all part. I mean, I have one woman that I've been working with forever, and then I have a dialect coach who comes in and inevitably changes some things here and there. And so for somebody who is so overly prepared and like type A with all these things, it's actually quite challenging being a part of a TV show because you don't know how to necessarily build that character. I actually, without getting into too much detail, because I get told like what you can and can't reveal. I also, we were in the middle of episode 3, And I realized I didn't have the answer to a certain question that would have totally redefined how I was playing this approach, you know, Betsy's approach to Ichabod. And I wrote the writers like full panic. Oh my God, what happened at this time period? Because I guess created that it was this, but what if it's this? And then what if I've done everything wrong? And I mean, that's kind of the challenge of being on a show, is that you don't get to sort of map out what that arc is going to be. They do, or sometimes they don't even know because they want to see what the audience's response is, let's say, to the character and how to build her. And I think for me, the only thing that I hopefully will accomplish while playing Betsy is that, you know, there are reasons why people act the way they do. There are reasons why Betsy feels so connected to Ichabod, and she's not just like a sexy chick that holds a sword. I'm hoping that at some point, well, I mean, you know, I'm wearing very sexy clothing, and while super authentic, by the way, and that's one thing I'd love to also point out, is how elaborate and wonderful but authentic our words are. Nice. I also want to make sure that, you know, she's more than that to people. So whatever that means, even if I walk away feeling inspired at the end of the day, because I know Betsy through and through, I want to make sure that other people do too. You know, there's a wisdom and an intelligence and a fearlessness about her that I hope translates and at some point overpowers, you know, the course of some sorts.
Did you have a lot of discussion with Tom regarding like how you guys think their relationship is?
Yes, so much of it. We're always trying to figure it out. Well, I guess so. So Tom obviously was, or not Tom, sorry, Ichabod was married, and we were trying to figure out where Betsy fit into that timeline. Yeah. And you know, because that changes decisions that you make as well. And obviously we've justified all of that by, well, I guess I can say that was what I was referring to before, was I wanted to make sure that Betsy was unaware of whatever Crane's situation was, because I did not want to play a woman who was making that kind of bold decision to go around another man's, you know, marriage. And that was because that changes who Betsy is and what her, you know, she's a woman with great morals, and clearly, I mean, she's Washington's only female spy. I'm in his spy ring. And so that's sort of how we justified where Ichabod was at, was, you know, spies don't talk about their personal lives. You don't know the other person really. Even if you have feelings for them, you don't know their personal life. So I do think that element of mystery adds to, like, the, you know, complicated layers of their relationship. You spend all day, every day working alongside somebody, and then at the end of the day, you don't know anything about them. I'm talking about the characters. Tom Mison is quite possibly the most wonderful co-star I've ever had, and I mean that in the most genuine way. It's hard to explain. He is. You don't even ask him. That means I look dehydrated. If your skin is
You're beautiful, beautiful. Don't worry.
Tom is, you know, you hope, as an actor, you hope that somebody loves their job as much as you do when you get to set. You hope that somebody is just as enthusiastic about running lines and trying new things and playing around and just exhausting the material, and you just hope you show up and you don't have a co-star who looks at you cross-eyed going, why are you doing that? And Tom couldn't be more excited to go through material and try new things, and he's also the most professional actor I have ever worked with. He's so prepared. He's so in love with his job. He knows what his job is, and he is a true leader. And when you are, I've never seen, you know, because we work different kinds of, you know, film and TV, the hours are different. I mean, to be the star of a television show like he is, and I see it with my husband, I mean, you are just you're worked into the ground, and you have to be a true leader. And Tom is honestly, when he sets the tone on the set, he's enthusiastic and positive. He really leads the way, and I mean, it's a joy to work with him. I feel so lucky.
With that diligence, what do you research? What do you read? I mean, you know, I know it sounds like a question you've heard a million times.
Reading. Did you just ask an actor if they read?
I know it comes as a shock to believe that you read anything other than a script, but
I do, though.
I know the frightening thing is I can just imagine what you did when you got this part.
Right.
You ran to the library. You had this stack of books, and then you went to Barnes and Noble. And you had this other stack of books, and you're still finishing them. Am I wrong or am I right?
Well, you're right if that had been a possibility.
Oh, I see.
Strangely, sometimes they can be really counterproductive because they want to create a different character, let's say, so you kind of have to let go of whatever your obsessive compulsive tendencies are to over research. But strangely, the thing about Betsy is that there's a lot of information, and yet there's no information, because the most accurate information they have about Betsy was a book written by her grandson, and you wonder what is, you know, like where the truth is in any of that. I mean, I couldn't necessarily write a book about my grandmother with every single detail of her life being perfect, so you wonder, you know, what is accurate and what isn't. And that's, you know, when you're playing a character like this, yeah, at some point you just have to kind of like jump off and go, you know, whatever they tell me, I'm going to play. Whatever I'm, you know, whatever the scripts are handing me, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to go with this, because I also trust, you know, my very first question when I spoke to our creator on the show, our showrunner, our creators, writers, was how accurate is this information? How do you research for this?
Right.
Because you're literally telling the world in these episodes, you know, you're telling them a story, and people are seeing it and they're believing it, and they, you know, that's such a priority for them that now, you know, you put all your faith in them, and you know that they're researching that and they're making sure that everything is totally accurate, and then adding in some monsters and things, you know.
Well, yeah, and where in the timeline would it be? Because
Let me grab a quick picture.
oh, that's okay.
And you said
Thank
you'd be
you.
boring.
Good luck.
See, you did not bore us.